Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we'll be doing a off-season recap for the Toronto Raptors. I want to hear all your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you guys think, good and bad, and everything in between from this team? And what outlook do you guys have after seeing what's unfolded? I am going with the assumption that the Kawhi Leonard trade is going to hold true and that they're going to keep him. So with that being said, or not keep him, but the trade is going to keep going. So we're going to talk about this team, what it could look like, and all of that good stuff. I do find it as an interesting situation due to the fact that this is one that Darko Rajakovic, I think, is one of the most underrated coaches in the league, one of the better ones in the league. They went 46-36 last year, 11th best rating or 11th best record in the league. They had a net rating of plus 2.9 with the league's highest assist rate, which was 69.2%. And they had a low three-point volume, 32.1. I think the big move for them was getting themselves Kawhi Leonard back. They were already an elite ball-moving team, and they had Brandon Ingram on this team. So I think Kawhi being here isn't going to create any problems. The spacing does a little bit concern me, and the rebounding, especially if Pirtle isn't healthy and that back continues to plague him, might be a little bit of something that I wonder. But they added a star. And I know the core isn't as good as the core that when they first got Kawhi, but I still think it's a good pass-first, defensively capable squad that if the shooting goes, you got a proven two-way superstar that, albeit it's a little older, joining a young, high-passing roster that might actually have title contention. So for me, I think the biggest thing is looking at this situation and believing that, okay, Kawhi ceiling, or a Kawhi-led team ceiling that is going to hinge on his availability, that has the same front office. I know Masai Ujiri's in Dallas, but Bobby Webster, the current man running the show in Toronto, is this right-hand man of Masai when Kawhi got traded, and they still have the same training staff that kept Kawhi healthy. He is a two-way star. They also brought in Kyle Anderson for some passing and defense and mentoring of Allen Graves, who could be a better version of Kyle Anderson. Look, I like this team. And they also brought back Elijah Martin, who's a great defender and a champion at the college level. And they also have Chucky Hepburn. Look, they got rid of Grady Dick, who wasn't playing for them. And I know Mamu is gone too, who's cool. Gary Temple finally retired, and they don't have to pay him and waste the roster spot anymore. Then you look at the rest of the team. I think a starting lineup of Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Kawhi Leonard, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl is going to be one that really does pay dividends. I know there's concern about the three-point volume and Kawhi's health, but you're going to have to obviously take that risk and hope that he stays healthy. Now, the center depth behind Poeltl is going to be a little bit concerning because it's Trey Jackson-Davis. They did just sign Trey Jemison to a two-way, and I know Nate Biddle is on a non-guaranteed deal. They also have Colin Murray-Boyles, and Kyle Anderson could play small ball. Jamison Battle's a good shooter. Jacoby Walter's a good shooter. Jamal Shedd's great at the point of attack. They also brought in Andre Jackson, who I think will make the team. So with that being said, they do have one roster spot available. Well, do they? No, I think their roster's full because they have 3 two-ways in Trey Jemison, Chucky Hepburn, and Jaden Bradley. Then Andre Jackson, Elijah Martin, Jamison Battle, Colin Murray-Boyles, Nate Biddle are their 10 through or 11 through 15 roster spots. As their second unit right now is Trace Jackson-Davis, Kyle Anderson, either Allen Graves or Jamison Battle. Well, I guess the second unit would be probably Colin Murray-Boyles, Kyle Anderson, or Trace Jackson-Davis, Colin Murray-Boyles, CMB. And then either Allen Graves, Jamison Battle, then Jacoby Walter, and Jamal Shedd. So it makes sense that you, right there, literally it's 3-point volume and maybe rebounding. They still have the full non-taxpayer mid-level exception and 5.4 biannual, full biannual. And they also have a Ochai Agbaji trade exception to still use. So look, they need to bring in a shooter and a two-way I think, player. So Bruce Brown could help them. There isn't much shooting available, so that's where I do think that's going to be like hard to find. So the rest of my thoughts with this team is that they were already one of the best ball movement teams, and they just got a superstar who's a great scorer. Now, the three-point shooting, can they improve that? They were, I think, a playoff team, a good playoff team without Kawhi. They're a contender if Kawhi plays all the games, and especially if the Heat plays 60 plus. How available is Kawhi? Is there a backup for Pirtle? Is Pirtle going to be healthy? Will he move well? And is the spacing going to improve with just internal swings? Like Quickly can shoot it. Walter can shoot it. Jameson Battle can shoot it. Kawhi and Barnes can shoot it, but you wouldn't say they're like floor spacers. So then that leaves you with like Colin Murray Boyles, you're hoping he's getting better at shooting. Elijah Marian, Andre Jackson, Jamal Shed. That's why, like, I think when you look at free agents available, you gotta maybe, and we already said, like, this roster is almost set. Nate Bedell can shoot, and at best, he's gonna give you like a Quentin Post type of swing, which is that going to be enough? This is a team that I think if you look at point guards available, there's just not enough guys that I think are going to be able. Like Brandon Williams can shoot well. He shot, last year he didn't shoot it well enough for me to say that he should be someone that you'd be going after. Nor is the only one really in free agency from a guard perspective is Aaron Holiday. And he's just a reserve guard who averaged like 5.5 points last year. He's not going to really be someone who's playmaking for others. And a lot of the best shooters out there either are older or injury prone. So you got like the Bradley Beals of the world, Seth Curry, that aren't really pushing the needle in the way that the Raptors would want. And that's why, like, as hard as shooting is to find, there isn't really a player out there that I think would help. Like Doug McDermott and Amir Coffey aren't going to be solving anything. Vince Williams hurt. Jett Howard signed a two-way. You're not bringing in Jeff Green. Spencer Jones already got re-signed, so it's difficult if you're a team looking for shooting because all the guys worth signing that could shoot it and worth having are all already picked up, and all the ones who historically could shoot it are sitting in free agency either because they've had several bad years of shooting, they're old, or their ability concerns, or they suck at defense. So that's one of the problems that you're hoping that this team internally is going to have a good year shooting. Let me know your thoughts down below if you made it to the end.